Ever wonder what the ancient Romans ate to keep themselves going strong? Well, buckle up because today we're diving into the top 10 ancient Roman dishes believed to be the secret to old age. Trust me, you're in for an exciting journey. Number 10. Barley. Barley, often overlooked in modern times, was an absolute powerhouse in ancient Rome. It wasn't just a grain, it was the most energy-efficient food available in nature, with implications that reached far beyond the dinner table. Concerned about maximizing longevity, avoiding disease, increasing athletic performance, or fighting obesity, barley had you covered. This humble grain transcended its status as a mere health food supplement found at local health stores. It was a complete food, transformed into a superfood through an all-natural process. So potent and functional, the United Nations recognized its significance, using barley as a relief food in famine-stricken countries due to its unparalleled ability to support human life better than any other single food. In ancient Rome, barley wasn't just a dietary choice, it was a staple for warriors, particularly gladiators and the Roman army. Sprouted barley gruel was their go-to fuel, providing sustenance and energy for these ancient athletes. Referred to as hordery, which meant eaters of barley or barley men, these individuals relied on barley's rich source of carbohydrates to gain weight and stamina, crucial elements for the physically demanding life of a gladiator. For gladiators, barley played a pivotal role in maintaining a spectacular physique, a necessity to please the crowds during the intense and often brutal competitions in the arena. Beyond the arena, barley was a staple for the general Roman population, showcasing its adaptability and resistance to various growing conditions. Whether in the hands of an athlete or an elderly farmer, barley guaranteed a harvest and, as a result, became one of the most common foods consumed by the ancient Romans. The versatility of barley didn't end with its nutritional benefits. Its ability to transform into sprouted barley gruel made it a dietary lifesaver during times of famine. The adaptability and resilience of this grain became symbolic of strength and sustenance, making barley a true hero in the ancient Roman diet. Number 9. Olive oil. Now, let's talk about something that was as essential to the ancient Romans as the air they breathed. Olive oil. You simply can't dive into the secrets of the Roman diet without giving a generous nod to this liquid gold. Imagine a Roman kitchen without olive oil. It's nearly impossible. Olive oil was not just a condiment, it was a necessity, a culinary companion that every Roman man deemed indispensable. The fame of this commodity reached such heights that Roman emperors actively supported olive tree plantations and the production of olive oil. For the Romans, olive trees and their precious oil weren't just about enhancing flavors, they symbolized something deeper. Olive leaves and branches became a powerful symbol of dignity, peace, fertility, and prosperity. By having olives in their lives, Romans believed they were inviting these positive attributes into their homes. The use of olive oil in ancient Rome was as diverse as the empire itself. Most rural Romans used it to fry their food, elevating the taste of their meals with the rich golden liquid. The Roman military, known for its disciplined and robust soldiers, also incorporated olive oil into their diets. It wasn't just a cooking ingredient. It was a staple that contributed to the strength and vigor of the Roman army. In the realm of cuisine, olive oil was a star player in some of the most beloved sauces of ancient Roman gastronomy. Its versatility made it an integral part of various dishes, adding depth and richness to the culinary tapestry of the time. But here's the intriguing part. Olive oil wasn't just confined to the Romans' plates. It transcended the realm of food and became a lifestyle choice. Romans used olives beyond their culinary uses. Olive oil found its way into their bath routine. Yes, you heard it right. Bathing in olive oil was a luxurious practice, showcasing the profound importance of olives and their golden elixir of the daily lives of the ancient Romans. Number 8. Posca. Now, let's take a sip of history with a drink that might sound peculiar to our modern taste buds, but was a staple for the ancient Romans. Posca. In a world where various qualities of wine were prevalent, Posca stood out as an economical and popular choice among commoners and legionnaires alike. Unlike the refined wines we associate with Roman banquets, Posca was a straightforward concoction made from water and sour wine. This seemingly humble drink played a significant role in the lives of both the common people and the Roman military. Imagine a time when diluting wine with water and adding spices, culinary herbs, or honey was the norm to temper its strong taste. Posca, often made by mixing sour wine or vinegar with water and a hint of herbs for flavor, might not sound like a beverage of choice for us today. However, for the Romans, especially the soldiers, it was the ultimate thirst quencher. Picture this: a pint of water with a splash of vinegar and perhaps some herbs thrown in. It might not be a modern mixology masterpiece, but for the Romans, it was the go-to drink to satiate their thirst. The exact recipe for Posca remains a bit of a historical mystery. Some sources suggest herbs and spices were added, while others propose a touch of honey for sweetness. Regardless of the specifics, water and vinegar form the backbone of this ancient Roman refreshment. Now, here's the interesting part. Roman soldiers believed that drinking Posca could contribute to their health and strength. In a time when sanitation was far from perfect, the normal water was often contaminated. Posca became a reliable source of hydration for the legions during their military campaigns. It was more than just a drink. It was a form of semi-antibacterial protection and a way to prevent ailments like scurvy. The fascinating tale of Posca doesn't end with its role as a popular Roman beverage. Let's delve deeper into the mysteries and multifaceted uses of this seemingly unassuming concoction. Historical records, including accounts from Suetonius, shed light on Posca's accessibility and affordability. A runaway slave in Puteoli found solace in selling Posca, emphasizing its popularity among commoners and those on a tight budget. Moreover, it wasn't just the foot soldiers who embraced this sour drink. Even the Emperor Hadrian reportedly joined his troops in a Posca toast to foster camaraderie. One notable aspect contributing to Posca's widespread consumption was its low alcohol content. In contrast to the gloriously drunk wine enthusiasts, some opted for the more moderate bidding of Posca. During military campaigns, soldiers might be instructed to forego wine and stick to vinegar, ensuring a sober and vigilant army. Intoxicated armies, such as history reveals, could prove disastrous on the battlefield, risking being overrun by the enemy. But why did the Romans find appeal in vinegary water? Despite its tart taste, vinegar was believed to have virtues praised by none other than Hippocrates, the father of medicine. It was considered refreshingly cool, making it a suitable choice during campaigns. Cato the Elder, a prominent figure in the Second Punic War, often turned to vinegar when particularly parched. Posca wasn't merely a refreshing beverage, its uses extended far beyond. In various Latin texts, this acidic brew emerged in medicinal context, often combined with other ingredients. From alleviating bowel problems to soothing toothaches, Posca was considered a panacea. It served as a remedy for stings from scorpions or angry wasps, showcasing its versatile protective qualities. Beyond its medicinal prowess, Posca made appearances in gastronomy, featuring as an ingredient in dishes from the renowned Roman cookbook Apicius. The acidic tang of Posca added a distinctive flavor profile to culinary creations, highlighting its role not only as a drink but also as a culinary enhancer. Number 7. Fruits and vegetables. Now, let's talk about a cornerstone of the ancient Roman diet that we all know is essential for a healthy lifestyle: fruits and vegetables. The Romans were indeed the trendsetters of a well-balanced diet, and their love for these natural wonders reflects that. When it comes to fruits, the ancient Romans had quite a variety on their plates. Apples, pears, plums, chestnuts, figs, and grapes were the stars of the show. Interestingly, citrus fruits like oranges made their debut much later in the 4th century AD. Among apples, the quince took the spotlight, especially for making jams that were already a hit during those times. But it wasn't about eating fruits fresh. The Romans had some creative ways of enjoying them. They served fruits as raisins, in unfermented juice known as defrutum, and even as part of a common stewed pork dish. Apricots imported all the way from Armenia. Cherries, oranges, dates, lemons, and other exotic imports also found their way onto Roman tables. Now, let's shift our focus to vegetables. In the Roman culinary landscape, lettuce, cabbage, and leeks were the go-to choices. When it came to legumes, broad beans, lentils, and chickpeas were highly favored, often paired with bread to create a protein-packed meal. The Romans didn't shy away from experimenting with various veggies like asparagus, mushrooms, onions, turnips, radishes, celery, cucumbers, artichokes, and garlic. Here's a fascinating tidbit. Wild plants weren't off the menu either. Olives and olive oil, staples then as they are today, were crucial for healthy fats in the Roman diet. Now, you might wonder how they managed to enjoy this abundance without wasting food. Well, Romans were pioneers in food preservation. They pickled their fruits and vegetables in brine or vinegar, preserving them in wine, grape juice, or honey for extended periods. Their culinary ingenuity ensured that the bounty of fruits and vegetables stayed on the Roman table throughout the seasons. Number 6. Sauces and spices. Let's dive into the flavorful world of sauces and spices in ancient Roman cuisine. Picture this. You've got a table full of dishes, and what ties them all together? Sauces and spices, of course. Now, one sauce that deserves a spotlight in the ancient Roman culinary scene is garum. If you're a fan of today's cheese sauce craze, then garum was the equivalent obsession for the Romans. They couldn't get enough of it, adding it to practically everything they ate. But what exactly is garum? Well, in simple terms, it's fish sauce. The process of making garum involved fermenting the entrails, guts of anchovies under the sun. It might sound a bit off-putting, but trust me, the end result was pure magic. This fermentation process produced 3 types of sauce: garum, liquamen, and alec. Garum, being the highest quality, was obtained from the liquid after filtration. Liquamen, a step below, was the second-class sauce, while alec was the lowest quality residue left at the bottom of the sheave. Now, while garum was the king of sauces, let's not forget about the spice that stole the show: silphium. This spice was like a ticket to flavor heaven for the ancient Romans, transforming plain bread into a culinary delight. Also known as laser, silphium was an herb cultivated on the island of Cyrenaica, off the coast of Libya. It was so cherished by the Romans that they attempted to cultivate it on a larger scale, but unfortunately, due to over-farming, it went extinct, leaving only tales of its exquisite flavor behind. The heartbreaking tale of silphium teaches us a valuable lesson. Loving something too much can lead to its demise. Silphium, now just a name with details, once held a special place in the hearts of the ancient Romans. What's intriguing is the herb's heart-shaped fruit and seed, which might have inspired the modern concept of representing love with a heart shape. It's a poetic connection between the culinary and romantic realms. Could it be that the ancient Romans, in their deep affection for silphium, created symbols like the heart shape to preserve its memory for future generations? It's a thought-provoking idea that adds a layer of sediment to the loss of this beloved herb. Now, if you're curious about flavors, here's a fun fact. Asa fetida, still common in Middle Eastern cooking today, is said to have a taste similar to the silphium enjoyed by the Romans. Known as hing or devil's dung for its strong smell, asa fetida was considered a second-class flavor by the ancient Romans. Interestingly, in the realm of popular modern spices, leeks or garlic are considered the best equivalents to silphium. Number 5. Bread. Now let's talk about the ancient Roman obsession with bread. Bread wasn't just a mere side dish for the Romans. It was a dietary cornerstone. But interestingly, not all loaves were created equal. Imagine this. There's a black bread, affordable for the common folks. And then there's the white luxury bread known as panis candidus, candid bread reserved for the elite. The stark contrast in bread quality mirrored the societal divisions of ancient Rome. For the poor, it was the dark, coarse variety, while the wealthy indulged in the finer, whiter loaves. Dating back to 300 BC, the Romans were already mastering the art of bread making. Their bread of choice was typically made from sourdough, and white raised bread was favored over unleavened bread, which was associated with the lower classes. The process involved mixing flour with water and letting the mixture sit in the open air, allowing wild, airborne yeast to colonize it. A successful batch created a starter, which was retained for future batches. While sourdough was the star leavening agent, other less popular options included soured barley cakes, beer foam, or fermented grape juice. The Romans even had a unique technique for adding froth to bread dough to achieve light, leavened bread, adopting it from the Gauls. Now, imagine baking your bread in the ashes of a fire. The Romans called it ash cake, and it might just be the ancestor of the beloved Italian flatbread, focaccia. To sweeten the deal, many baked goods included generous quantities of honey and oil, while leaves were used to infuse flavor into the bread. Despite the popularity of white, raised bread among the wealthy, most ancient Romans were stuck with the coarser, darker variety. It was a daily staple for the masses, showcasing the economic and class divides through something as similar yet significant as bread. Over time, the quality of bread experienced a remarkable transformation, thanks to innovations in sheaves and grinding mills. As bread consumption soared, so did its popularity. Within a mere 150 years of development, Rome boasted over 300 specialized pastry chefs dedicated to serving the capital. The demand for bread prompted the creation of a multitude of varieties, each striving for smoother textures and more elaborate flavors. The key factor in this culinary evolution was the quality of the flour. The finest of grains and the innovation of grinding mills played a crucial role in enhancing the bread's overall quality. But it wasn't just about texture. Bakers began experimenting with additional components like milk, eggs, legumes, and butter to make the bread not only more nutritious, but also to tantalize the taste buds. However, these enhancements were a luxury reserved for the wealthy, as the poor couldn't afford such decadence in their daily bread. The archaeological record tells a fascinating story of baking in ancient Rome. In the ruins of Pompeii, over 30 commercial bakeries have been unearthed, complete with identifiable features like millstones or donkeys. The wealthy Romans took their bread seriously, going so far as to acquire domestic slaves specifically for baking duties, considering it a symbol of aristocratic status. Yet, despite the importance of bread, the occupation of baking carried some social stigma. Cicero, for instance, viewed it as a lowly profession. And in Plautus Ponulus, bakers were humorously linked to the world of prostitution. Even Augustus, the revered emperor, faced mockery for his ancestry, which was humorously traced back to an African baker. This negativity may have been fueled by the substantial wealth that successful bakers accumulated over time. Number 4. Meat. Now, let's dive into the world of ancient Roman meat-eating extravagance. Brace yourself, because the Romans didn't just stop at your ordinary wild game of rabbit, hare, or boar. They took meat consumption to a whole new level. The Romans had an extensive variety of meats on their menu that might simultaneously elicit both awe and a touch of disgust. The usual suspects like deer, hare, boar, rabbit, and various wild game were complemented with exotic choices such as peacock and flamingo. Yes, you heard right, flamingo. Poultry, along with wild game, was a primary source of meat, featuring birds like magpies, plovers, woodcocks, partridges, ducks, doves, pheasants, blackbirds, geese, and quails. Picture this: an aristocrat's chef, aiming to impress high-profile guests, would concoct dishes with exotic birds like flamingos and peacocks. Dormice and snails were also surprisingly common dishes in ancient Rome cuisine. But wait, the meaty adventure doesn't end there. In the pursuit of culinary excellence, the Romans didn't shy away from serving ostrich and giraffe meat. Yes, you heard it right again, giraffe. These exotic meats weren't just reserved for extravagant feasts. They even made appearances in the arena games. Picture an ostrich or giraffe pitted against a lion for the entertainment of the crowd and the awe of the guests. Now, while the Roman love for exotic meats may sound barbaric and even ridiculous by today's standards, it's important to note that these practices slowly disappeared from the culture over time. Fortunately for the animals, the penchant for sadistic exhibitions waned. Even Emperor Commodus, who had a bizarre liking for shooting ostriches' heads with his arrow, couldn't sustain such habits for long. Despite these eccentricities, the Romans had a diverse array of meats in their diet, from the ordinary to the extraordinary. Ostriches and giraffes might have seemed ugly to them, yet they found a place on the dinner menu. However, it's crucial to understand that even with the variety, meat was a luxury reserved for the wealthy. For most Romans, especially peasants, the chances of indulging in exotic meats were as rare as the animals themselves. Meat prepared in various forms like sausages, meatballs, and small clean cuts was a pricey commodity. The wealthier class showcased their affluence by displaying different meats on their tables. The more exotic, the higher their status. In the end, while the Romans enjoyed their extravagant meaty feast, the majority of citizens had to content themselves with simpler fare like porridge and vegetables. Number 3, seafood. Now, let's dive into the depths of ancient Roman culinary delights, and this time we're exploring their love for the treasures of the sea. Seafood was a familiar and favored choice for the Romans, showcasing a variety that could make any seafood lover's heart skip a beat. Fish, crabs, mussels, clams, and scallops were just a few items on their aquatic menu. Fish in particular was a frequent feature in ancient Roman food menus, as evidenced by Apicius' culinary writings. Oysters were so popular that dedicated businesses were established solely for oyster farming. A particular type of clam called taline, still popular in Italy today, was also a prized part of the rich seafood mix. It seems the Romans had a bit of a fishy reputation for their love of sea-based delicacies. Just like with meat, the ancient Romans were undoubtedly adventurous in their culinary journey, embracing everything from the familiar to the exotic. Electric ray, anyone? Shellfish and fish were essential protein sources, especially for those watching their waistlines. However, the supply of seafood was irregular and unreliable. To address this, the Romans developed ingenious methods for preserving fish and even farmed them in artificial salt and freshwater ponds. This ensured a steady supply of fish, which could be enjoyed in various forms: fresh, dried, salted, smoked, or pickled on a regular basis. If you live near the water today, chances are seafood is a common part of your diet. Well, the same held true for the ancient Romans. Fish and shellfish were not only a common but also a crucial source of protein in their diet. Clever as ever, the Romans found ways to preserve and cultivate fish, ensuring they could savor these maritime delights in various forms. And being the ancestors of Italians, they couldn't resist adding some extra flavor, often in the form of fish sauce made from matured whole fish or the innards of larger fish to make their seafood dishes truly tantalizing. Number 2. Wine. Raise your glasses as we explore the intoxicating world of wine in ancient Rome, a beverage that wasn't just a drink, but a symbol of grace, elegance, and even a subtle way to express disdain for beer-drinking foes. The close relationship between Romans and wine is the stuff of legends. Wine was undeniably the favorite drink among Romans, reflecting the grace and elegance of the empire. Choosing wine over beer was not just a preference, it was a cultural statement, a clear image of disdain for those who dared to indulge in the barley-based brew. However, the Roman drinking culture differs from our modern habits. Instead of sipping it straight, the Romans preferred to dilute their wine with water. This wasn't a mere preference, it was a practical choice, considering they consumed wine on almost every occasion. Dilution helped reduce the alcohol content, allowing them to partake more freely in the joyous libations. Wine, being a popular drink, came in various varieties, including black, red, white, and yellow wines. One interesting concoction was mulsum, a mixture of regular wine with honey, often accompanying the first dinner course in Roman households. In ancient Rome, wine wasn't just a beverage, it was a part of their social fabric. Some of the best vintage wines of the time included Cetian, Masic, Falernian, and Calcuban. These wines were savored during various occasions, turning ordinary moments into memorable celebrations. But what about the art and science of winemaking in ancient Rome? Recent groundbreaking research by Dr. Dimitri van Limburgen and his team has unveiled a fascinating world of sophistication. Roman vintners weren't merely grape growers, they were skilled craftsmen employing techniques still used in modern winemaking. Controlled maceration, oxidation management, and punch downs were all part of their repertoire, allowing them to produce wines with varied colors, taste, and aromas. This challenges the simplistic view of ancient wine as a monolithic beverage and reveals the Romans' deep understanding of the intricacies of winemaking. Van Limburgen's research offers a fascinating glimpse into the ancient Roman world of winemaking, revealing connections between their practices and modern wine traditions. It turns out that our closest modern counterparts to Roman wines may be found in Piedian Natural, orange wine, and Georgia's red Saperifice, all of which share similarities in fermentation and aging techniques. The use of cuvivre, earthenware clay vessels akin to Roman dolia, is a particularly intriguing link between ancient and modern winemaking. This method, both simple and ingenious, serves as a bridge across millennia, connecting us to our ancient forebears through the universal language of wine. One notable departure from contemporary wine practices is the Romans' disregard for our modern color classifications of white and red. Instead, Roman wines embraced a spectrum spanning white to yellow, amber, brown, and deeper hues of red and black. This diversity suggests a rich tapestry of taste and appearance that challenges our simplistic color distinctions. The meticulous analysis of dolia found in Roman villas, archaeological sites reveals a world where wine production was both an art and a science. Dolia da Safa cellars, designed for optimal wine storage and aging, showcase techniques like lees stirring, skin contact, and extended aging. These practices reflect an acute understanding of how to manipulate variables such as temperature and oxidation to enhance the flavor profile of wine. The use of pitch to regulate oxygen exposure in some dolia is a remarkable precursor to modern reductive winemaking practices. This attention to detail in controlling the wine's environment highlights the Romans' commitment to producing wines of exceptional quality. Additionally, the Romans' use of surface yeast for flavoring, reminiscent of those employed in sherry production, underscores their expertise in harnessing natural processes to create distinct and desirable wine flavors. Number 1. Wheat. And now we arrive at the pinnacle of ancient Roman culinary essentials, the numero uno, the cornerstone of their diet, wheat. Wheat held a place and paramount importance in the Roman culinary landscape, serving as a key ingredient in numerous dishes that graced the tables of Roman citizens. Wheat flour, the versatile offspring of this essential grain, was the culinary chameleon that found its way into the creation of bread, porridge, pancakes, and biscuits, becoming an integral part of Roman meals. A day in the life of a Roman revolved around 3 main meals: jentaculum for breakfast, peridium for lunch, and cena for dinner. Wheat in various forms made a consistent appearance in each session. The morning sun saw wheat pancakes adorned with dates and drenched in honey, providing a delightful and energy-packed start to the day. As the afternoon approached with peridium, white bread and cheese took center stage. Finally, the cena, the grand finale of the day. Wheat porridge often claimed the spotlight. Despite its ubiquity, the consumption of wheat was not a universal privilege. White bread, crafted from the finest grains, was a luxury enjoyed primarily by the wealthy. The everyday Roman, in contrast, found solace in more humble bran bread. The socioeconomic divide was as apparent in the choice of bread as it was in other aspects of Roman life. Interestingly, the wheat we encounter in today's supermarkets, overwhelmingly derived from Triticum astrivum, is a descendant of the same species that dominated Roman times. Known colloquially as bread wheat, its ascendancy marked the end of the Roman Empire. This wheat variety earned favor due to its compatibility with large-scale farming practices. Unlike its ancient counterparts, it facilitated easy threshing and uniform weight growth, simplifying the harvesting process. The high gluten content in its flour contributed to the creation of elastic dough, resulting in lighter and softer bread, a feature highly prized then and now. We encounter 3 stalwart companions that accompanied humanity from the Neolithic to the Roman times: einkorn, emmer, and spelt. These ancient grains, unlike their modern descendant, have resisted the tide of selective breeding, standing as living relics of a bygone era. Einkorn, the pioneer among cultivated wheats, emerged from the wild grasses of Asia Minor around 10,000 BC. It played a pivotal role in sustaining the nascent Mesopotamian civilizations, providing nourishment and laying the foundation for the advent of settled societies. Notably, einkorn boasts higher levels of protein, vitamin A, beta-carotene, lutein, and riboflavin compared to its successors, modern bread wheat, emmer, and spelt. In 2006, studies even suggest that the gluten found in einkorn may not trigger adverse reactions in individuals with celiac disease, adding an intriguing layer to its nutritional profile. Quantifying the gluten content in various wheat varieties poses a challenge, yet the evidence from simple bread-making practices suggests a discernible difference. The ancient grains favored by our ancestors, including the Romans, exhibited low gluten content than the modern bread wheat dominating our tables today. Bread, an undeniable staple of the Roman diet, held a special place in Roman culture. The art of baking became a specialized profession, reflecting the societal importance attached to this dietary cornerstone. Post-Roman era, Europe embarked on a trajectory leading to the wheat-centric diets prevalent in contemporary times. By the close of the 9th century AD, the sentiment expressed by the Anglo-Saxon monk Aelfric resonated across medieval tables. Without bread, any table seems empty, and without bread, all food seems unpalatable. The trajectory of wheat from the humble einkorn to the modern bread wheat encapsulates a fascinating journey through time. Thanks for joining us on this delicious journey through ancient Roman cuisine. Don't forget to watch our other videos for more fascinating food history. Hit subscribe and explore the world of flavors with us. Until next time, stay tuned.